Hey everybody, NB Graphics here. The other day I posted a video on polishing Athearn wheels, or actually the end result. People were asking how we did it, actually how I did it, and I'm going to show you today how we're going to do that. First we want to start out with a GP9M that I cut the nose and modified the body a little bit, but it's basically a stock drive. There's nothing that has been modified other than the standard tune-ups and a decoder install. There's an NCE decoder in it, but that's basically it. That's the basics of it. There's nothing else, no sound, no nothing like that. It does have the LED headlights and stuff, but as far as the actual drivetrain itself, it's stock. It uses the original motor. It uses the original mounts, flywheels, universals. Everything in it is original, and it runs okay, but it isn't, you know, it's a typical Athearn blue box locomotive. You can get these to run really great. You saw my video the other day that I posted with this little guy right here. And again, this is a stock unit, same vintage, probably mid 80s, early 90s vintage, just like the GP9M that I made. But you saw how this one ran. We'll go ahead and acquire the engine, make sure that the lights come on, and you see it's already not 100% sure if it wants to work. Put it onto speed step 1 and we can see it runs, but it's herky-jerky. It tends to run erratic. And the other day you saw my tape trick with the other engine, and it made it through, and it made it through. But it's trying really hard. It's not smooth, the lights are flickering. Go ahead and add another section. Again, we'll try it back to forward, and I'm randomly putting that tape down. It doesn't matter the distance, I'm just kind of sort of half guessing at it, and well, there you go. There's still one wheel here and one wheel here in contact with the rail, and there's this wheel that's barely on the insulating tape. It's barely touching it, and then you have one wheel on the front of the locomotive that is fully engaged the tape. So you still actually have, out of 8 contact points, you still actually have a full 6. You still have a full 6 on the track that is not providing current, and you can see I'm even trying to get pushed down good, and if you can see the headlight just coming on and going off. Got to fix that. That's the biggest problem. That I think the biggest complaint on the Athearn Blue Box locomotives is their pickup. So we'll show you how to fix that in the next segment. Thanks. At this point, we've taken apart the wheels, or basically just taken them out of the locomotive. You guys can see those right there. You just need to disassemble them real quick. I'm not going to show you how to do that. I think everybody knows how to take these little guys apart. They just pull apart. What we'll do is we'll go set up downstairs on my drill press and show you how I polish it. The first post I had put out in Mall Railroad Hobbyist was done with a battery operated drill. That works good. This is just, I think, is a little bit quicker, and it achieves a little bit better result simply because you have a little bit more power and control rather than trying to hold the drill and hold the wheel and everything like that. This way here you can have the drill press hold it for you. Not everybody's going to have a small drill press. That's okay, I understand that. But in the same token, if you do have one, or you can get yourself you know, maybe an electric powered drill, variable speed, and set it, you know, on a bench somehow. I've seen guys clamp them in vices. I mean, there's a multitude of ways you can do this. If not, do the battery trick like I showed you before. That tends to work, and it works pretty good. Just, I think you'll see that these will turn out a little bit better. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see that wheel. It's hard to get in close with this camera, but you can see it's one of the dirtier wheels. So we're going to go ahead and chuck it in the drill press and show you how I'll go ahead and do it. If you look, the first thing I have is a couple of the sponges, and these types of sponges are the ones that are basically, they're hard when they're dry. They're not the soft style, which is fine. A small wedge of wood right here, I like using that because it's got, I made that, it's a sharp little edge, and that way there, it gives you some way to scrape the crud off of the wheel. And obviously your wheel, and then another sponge here that basically doesn't have a lot of the cleaner on it. That way there we have a way to polish the product off. I use a Mother's. It's not a plug for Mother's. It's just whatever you have on hand. That's the whole idea behind this whole process, is just use what you got on hand. We chuck that into the drill. Make sure that it's running just like it is right there. It seems to be not wobbling or nothing. You take the one that's got the cleaner right on it, just apply a little bit. Take the wedge, and with the point, I like to go ahead and work on the wheel tread right there. And at the same time, I'm also going to work on the back side of the wheel, because remember we said that we wanted to enhance the electrical pickup also. Well, we're going to add wipers to the backs of these wheels, so we want to be able to scrape all that off. So now that we've got the wood that's worked in, we'll go ahead and work the product in with the first sponge. Don't be afraid to give it a little bit of force. You don't want to go overboard on these, but don't be afraid to give it a little bit of oomph to it. Try to keep my hands out of the way. You can see that, now you see my fingers too, it's really turned black. Alright, and that's kind of the idea behind the whole thing. So now we take this one here that's relatively dry, and we get in here and we just start the actual polishing process. I don't know if you can see it, but that wheel is starting to really shine up good. Get in there as close as you can. Get the back side up nice and clean. And just keep working it. It takes a couple of minutes probably of doing this each wheel. So time you disassemble the wheel and out of the locomotive, take them apart, come down, and then do this to each one of them, you're going to have a little bit. They do get warm. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's considerably shinier. And that's the idea, is to get the surface, because sintered wheels, it's a pressed iron product. That's actually how they manufacture these. They're not machined or anything. They actually press a powdered iron around that shaft, and that's how they get the shape of the wheel. And it's a good process. It works for many things. It's just that it leaves a porous surface. I'm trying to get it in the light so you guys can see just how shiny that really is. We'll go ahead and do another one. Hopefully that you can see. It's kind of dull. I don't know if I bring it up close you can see it better, but it's just a matter of chuck it back in. You notice I'm not using the keyway to tighten it. I'm just finger tightening this. Go ahead again. Now if you don't have enough stuff on your sponge, go ahead and apply a little more. I think there's enough on here. I may have to put a little bit, but we'll see. Now it's turning black. Go back to your wedge. Again, just use the edge, just like I'm doing right there. Back side. This is probably an area that a lot of guys might just forget about, because they're concentrating on the actual pickup point. Yeah, the tread is, but we're also going to add wipers to the backs of the wheels. Go ahead and apply the polish right to it. Use squeeze it on the back side, try to press it in, and then go ahead to your dry one. Again, really work it up in there good. Work it right in there. And you can see just about how long it takes to complete a couple of them, and it doesn't take real long. You can do a whole entire set of 8 wheels in a real short order. Remember, I said they got a little hot, but see the difference. I know it's a little fuzzy, but at least you got the idea just how much different that really is. And this will enhance the electrical pickup. We've done polishing. Got the wheels all cleaned up. Removed the residue with some alcohol. We want to do that, trying to get as much of that off of there. And of course we're in the final stages of assembling the wheel sets themselves. I've already got 2 there already assembled. I have one here that I'm about ready to finish pressing together, and I have one left to go ahead and put together. There's no real rocket scientist to this, but you need an HO standards gauge. Quite helpful. I made this little jig. It's actually a piece of, I think it's very thin, 10,000 styrene. Had some printed on it, and I cut a couple of slots in. And what I do is I insert it in between the bearings, just like so, and then just press it. Go ahead and gently remove it, and that keeps your bearings free. It keeps them centered, and more importantly, it's gauged. It's right where they need to be. This is where we need to add the electrical contacts. Is you can see the side frame of the engine right here, the front trucks, the rear trucks. We need to solder a small piece of wire that would basically, that's going to span from here to here, right in this location. So what we want to do, get our hot soldering iron, clean tip, real important. A little bit of flux that will help clean this little joint area, just like so. Don't need a ton. Just a little bit on your tip, just to help promote the heat, and just gently touch right there. Give it a little bit of heat, and then as soon as you flow, just a touch of solder in, just like so. I don't know if you can see it, but right there, that's just a small touch of solder. That's what we need to do, just a little bit, just like that. And flip it over. And I like to, especially this one had gotten painted. Just want to scrape, make sure those areas are good and clean. Again, come back with your flux. This is a no corrode paste flux too. It's, you can use it for plumbing. I know somebody's gonna go, oh God, don't do that. It's a non-acid base. I've been using it. You can see a little goes a long ways. I've been using it. I haven't had any issues. I've used it to solder track. It's been working, and I haven't had any corrosion issues whatsoever on that. If it's a true acid-based flux, then I'd say, yeah, probably you're going to have an issue. But this is not an acid-based flux. So, and I'm also following it up with a good high-quality 6040 rosin core solder. I like using the real small stuff. This is 32 thousandths diameter. For fine electronics work, I really don't, recommend anything larger than this. You just don't need it, and it melts considerably quicker, so you don't have to apply anywhere near as much heat. And that's the idea in electronic soldering. You want to do the job as quickly as possible without applying a whole pile of heat, because we don't want to melt things. that. Tinned right in. And you can see both little areas are tinned right up nice. So that'll make attaching the wire relatively easy. So what I have here is a little bit of wire from Tichy. It's 0.0125, so it's basically 12.5 thousandths or 125 ten thousandths of an inch. And we're just going to get a small piece of it. Fine phosphor bronze. I had been using brass, and I find that the phosphor bronze wire is more resilient. It holds its shape a little bit better, and I find that it's been making the pickups a lot better and more consistent. So the trick is to hold it, and it's hard to kind of sit there and hold it and, you know, try to get the right length and everything. So what I've been doing is using a small micro clip, an alligator clip, just putting the wire somewhat in place, getting it close, and then just holding it right where you need it. The nice thing about doing it this way is this acts as a bit of a heat sink to begin with, and that's good because, remember, we're working with plastic here. Now, I haven't tinned that at all. It should just, with a little bit of flux and the solder that's already there, it should already pretty much bond itself right into place. Just like so. Just a quick touch to it. The wire is all placed in. Good old track nippers. They're pretty good. They're very sharp. Take and cut your wire, just like so. And there's your pickup wire. We'll go ahead and repeat for this side and show you how we actually put the wheels in, because now you're saying to yourself, well, how am I going to get the wheels in? There's a trick to that also. What we'll do is we'll get our wire, get our clip, and pre-position the wire where we want it, and just kind of sort of clip it in. It's really not being held by that clip, it's just helping you position it. And come back with a little bit of the paste flux that we've been using. Clean your tip on the iron. Come back in and again just touch your heat, and it should almost instantly grab. There we go, just like that. Get it in there good. Alright, I'm going to let that harden up, and then go ahead and clip your wire. I clip it right even with the end. Remove your clip. Now we're ready to go ahead and install the wheels. So what we do to install the wheels is basically take them and bend them out and down a little bit, just like so. Alright, and do the same thing for this side. Grab it, bend it out and down just a little bit, so you can see just slightly down. And there's a reason for that. I'll explain to you as the wheels are being put in. So we'll go ahead and pull it out and bend it slightly down. You want just a little bit of tension on these guys. And again, same with this one. Pull it out and bend it down just a little bit, just like that. You have that right there. This actually facilitates putting your wheels in quite easily, because you can literally drop them right in. Drop your wheels in, just like so. While you have them in there, just gently pick it up over and drop it in behind. And like I said, I was using brass wire to do this, and it was not holding its shape as well. But just as you get it up and over, it'll drop itself right in place. Come on, cooperate. There we go. And then do the same for the front. Just line your bearings up just like that. Drop them in. Just gently pick it up over and drop it in. Pick it up over. Drop it in. And it'll literally hold your wheels in place without the bottom clip. You want to replace the bottom clip anyways. But and that's how you add those extra electrical pickups. As you can see, it's a stock Athearn drive. I basically did the mods that we talked about, added the pickup wires. This is all being done on speed step 1. Reverse direction again on this. Got a little momentum built into it. And you can see how just nice and smooth it runs. We'll go ahead and add our first section of insulating tape. And I'll show that to you. It just kind of runs right over the top of it. Just like that. And if we want, we'll put another one right there. And you can see the two pieces now. And we'll let the momentum kick up a little bit. She gets going. And it goes right over the top of it. And it's not just on the side, it's literally, you can see the wheel going right over the tops of them. Before, it wouldn't even think about doing that. Well, this pretty much concludes what we can do by just, a couple of very basic type of tips, instructions, things you can do. About everybody can do this. I don't have any particular recommendation as to what you're going to use for a cleaning product. Mother's works for me because that's what I have on hand. I probably could use Meguiar's. You could use Flitz. I've used that. Flitz is good if you're going to use, if it's a really nasty, cruddy wheel where you've got a lot of grunge on it, or it's an older wheel that's got a lot of pitting on it, rust, that type of stuff. I'd go ahead and use a little bit heavier duty. I have heard of people using 2000 grit sandpaper. As long as it is a wet, dry paper and you're using it wet, I don't see where that would hurt anything. It would take a little bit of the metal off. You certainly have a smaller wheel. How measurable that would be, I don't know. Probably not a lot, as long as you don't overdo it. That's probably the biggest thing. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I hope this was informative to everybody, and that you can see that you can take a good old run-of-the-mill blue box locomotive, with your normal mods, typical tuning, the cleaning of the drive line, making sure that that's all in good shape and there's nothing binding. But that should be done with about anything you buy, particularly the older stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there. The older Proto 2000 P2K stuff use the exact same drive line as this. A lot of them suffer from the split gears, but you can buy the new Athearn gears on their website. They're readily available on eBay. They're readily available on many other websites. I've seen them at swap meets, wherever you can find them, or a lot of times you might be able to buy a parts locomotive that has a bunch of that stuff that is good, that you can use. I remember recently buying a bag of motors and trucks and side frames and gears and everything for, I think I paid 20 bucks for the whole thing. So got plenty of parts to be able to use. But for now, we're going to end, and I hope you guys got I hope it was enjoyable for you guys, and you got some good tips out of it, and like to see some results.